Yes, joining us now, Nell Abernathy, Roosevelt Institute Vice President of Strategy and Policy, and Joel Griffith, Heritage Foundation's Institute for Economic Freedom and Opportunities. And not knowing exactly how you feel about everything, Nell, you may take issue with what I'm saying, but to me, watching it, I just think it presents kind of a catch-22 for Democrats, because I just think that Bernie is the bona fide leader, or he's leading in this race right now. And everybody's taking shots at Bloomberg, and I think that they were missing the elephant in the room, and that is that Bernie was in the center. He was unscathed. He's genuine. He's passionate. Whether you believe in his policies or not, there are a lot of grassroots Americans that are not going to abandon him and are going to come out if they drag themselves over broken glass to vote for him. So he might be the nominee. Is that okay with you?
I think that every single candidate up there has adopted some of the more progressive policies and progressive talking points. And that shows not only that the data is really on the side of people like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, who are talking about unrigging the system, but also that their message is resonating with average Americans. When you have a candidate like Bloomberg coming out for a financial transaction tax, more worker rights, more postal banking, he's even discussed, that's a sign that this is a message that's resonating with the American people.
But let's say you want a Democrat to win, which I think that you probably do. Are you okay that Bernie is carrying the mantle, Bernie Sanders of the Democratic Party right now? You're okay with that? If that's how it works out and there's not a brokered convention and he gets a majority or plurality of the delegates, you're okay with a Sanders candidacy? I'm okay with that.
Okay. I'm okay with the message on this economy that says it is not working for most Americans.
In your notes, it's sort of what I thought I was reading was Bernie has, we hear so often, let's have this conversation. Bernie got the conversation started for all these progressive ideas, and maybe people don't go quite as far, but that was a good thing in your view because you think the economy is not working for everyone, et cetera, et cetera. But I didn't feel like so many establishment Democrats that means you want to go all the way and actually marry Bernie in terms of candidates, in terms of the nominee.
Well, I think this is going to be an ideas election. And again, I'm going to go back to the point that if every single candidate on that stage cares about economic inequality, if the whole race is focused on how do we unrig the system, I do think that we have a good message that's going to resonate with American voters. I'm not an electoral strategist, and no one should hire me to be one.
Right.
But on ideas, they're right on the data, and the American people support it.
Joel, you might have a different opinion, I guess.
Well, I'm not sure exactly what data she's referring to, but the data that we have coming in from our economy now is that we've got a record high household income and a record long stretch of economic growth. And this is following comprehensive tax reform and regulatory reform. I think Mayor Bloomberg last night in his exchange with Senator Sanders actually summed up some of the friction in the Democratic Party when he said, this is ridiculous. We're not going to toss out capitalism. We've tried that before. It's called communism. It didn't work. And that was in response to one of the more stunning proposals from Senator Sanders that did not get much airtime at all. And that is his proposal to force big companies to actually divest their equity stake, at least 20% of it, to employees. This is such a truly revolutionary idea, and they're exactly right. And I'll go a step further. It's not just communism that we're comparing these plans to. If we're going to talk about democratic socialism, well, let's look at Germany. Sure, Germany, people are fairly happy there, but our disposable income is far higher. We have lower unemployment. We have a lower energy costs, and that's because we have an economy that is far freer in comparison to Germany and our other competitors across Europe.
Now, I'm going to stick with you for a second, Joel. So, in your view, if Bernie does get the nomination, would you ever see Bernie becoming more moderate once he doesn't need to try to win the nomination, or he is what he is? He's going to stay there, and if so, do you think he could win the electoral college?
Well, I think Senator Sanders has been remarkably consistent throughout his long career in public service. If you go back to his time as mayor in Vermont, if you go back to his time in the early years in the Senate, this is a man who has flat out called for nationalization, not just of health care, not just basically of education, but of the energy sector, of the banking sector. He has, in his own words, called for public control of private capital. He has not really changed his tune at all. Now, the question would be, if he were elected president, how much of this could he get through Congress? That would be up for debate.
No, we don't have a lot of time left. I know you're not an electoral person, but do you think enough Americans are disenfranchised with the economy that if Bernie were the candidate, you think he could win? Because you have to govern for all these things you want to do. To govern, you have to win. I'm talking to now, Joel. But you have to win to do any of this. Do you really think Bernie you can ride that horse to victory?
I think it's baffling to hear that this is the best possible economy that we can do. I think that every single person on that stage last night.
Right, but you think Bernie can win and then bring this new economy that you're talking about? You think Bernie is
I do. I think that there's a vision of America in which, rather than supporting coal companies, we're building the new industries of the future. Rather than taking healthcare away from people, we're saying, hey, we don't have to be communist. We can be like every other industrialized country and give them healthcare. That rather than fueling stock buybacks, we can promote private and public investment.
I just have one question for you. If Bernie Sanders wins, if you're a CEO in America, what do you think you do the next day? Put the stock market aside for a second, because I'll tell you what I think happens. I genuinely think that literally they put their hands under them like this. They put their pens down and they say, for the next year or two, we're doing nothing. We're not hiring new people. We're not spending more money. And it's not, by the way, to snub their nose at Bernie Sanders. It's because they're going to say to themselves, I have no idea what's about to happen. I believe that this man is about to come kill me, if humanly possible. If I'm a tech company, I think I might get broken up. If I'm a bank, I think I might get, or a CEO, I might be sent to jail. You don't think that some of these things are going to become...
I'm not incredibly impressed with what CEOs are doing right now, and I think that might be an improvement. We don't see an investment boom. We're not seeing innovation. New businesses are at their lowest rate on record. And so I think we would do well to have some serious rethinking of how we govern corporate America.
During that transition period to this other place you're talking about? Do you think that employment gets better?
I think that we stay probably on the path we're currently on, but I think we're on a pretty weak economy.
Last word, Joel.
With all due respect, we are in the middle of a booming economy, record high household income, record long jobs growth. If you want to see what an economy under Senator Sanders would look like, look at Western Europe, look at their disposable income, look at their higher unemployment, and look at the fact that middle class taxpayers there are paying $6,000 more per year.
I think average Americans would be pretty happy if they could just go to the doctor and not risk going into household debt on that purpose.
All right. Now, thanks. Joel, thank you for the debate.
Thank you.
Andrew.